presentation about that, and I'll send it over to you, Jen.
Okay, so Sue, just so you know, and for people who are watching this recording, this is going to be recorded so that people can watch it at another point in time. So we're hopefully going to get some information from people that have provided questions, as well as just something that goes along with our dimensions of wellness. And so one of them obviously is nutrition, and we are blessed to have Sergeant Blaine Bachman here from Michigan State Police. And Blaine has received a lot of training. I'll let him go into that. But we have a section within our department that is for the wellness of our members, and it's really been robust since I retired or later in my career. So I'm glad to see that our department is doing that. And so Blaine was selected in order to receive a lot of specialized training. And I'm lucky that his dad was my partner when I was in the department. And so we started talking about the information that he had. And I was just like, oh my goodness, if we could get you to be able to share some of that, that would just be amazing. And so this really is a great resource. And Blaine, I'm so thankful that you've been able to, take time in order to provide us some information on nutrition. And I think the other reason that I find it so important for us to have this information is because there's just so much mixed messaging out there, depending on what you listen to. A lot of times experts have, they're having a wellness shake, or they're having this, or they have all these different things. And so to have somebody that doesn't really have an agenda, it's just here's the information, I think is really a great thing for us to have. So, Blaine, without any more talking, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Great. Well, thanks for the invite. I enjoy being here. I like talking nutrition, sports science, muscle and strength, anything really. I just enjoy the topic. So I mentioned earlier, but even with just the 4 questions that are submitted, I could easily talk for an hour. My background, I have a lot of training in different health fitness stuff, CrossFit instructor, National Strength and Conditioning Association strength and conditioning coach, a mindfulness coach, nutrition coach, master health coach. So really all aspects of this domain I try and work on. The advantage of being with the MSP is I get to coach a lot because I'm a free resource. A lot of people use me. And so over the years, I've kind of refined my classes and I've tried to simplify nutrition for whoever is listening. Sue, you're kind of lucky. You're getting like a one-on-one class today. So if you've got questions or there's anything in particular you want to know, please shout it out or type a chat in there if you'd rather chat rather than unmute yourself. But I have found through talking to people that maybe where I think a baseline knowledge for nutrition is not accurate. And that sometimes we get confused because of all the information that's coming at us. And we're not really understanding some of the most basic principles with nutrition. And so at the most basic level, nutrition varies worldwide. No matter what culture we look at and we see what they're eating, we're going to see people that are very fit. We're going to see people that are muscular. We're going to see people that lean and live long. And so to say there's one specific diet that's great, it's just not true. Really, it's different things for each person, but it breaks down into some basic fundamentals. First off, calories in, calories out. On the most basic level, we all have a base metabolic rate and a certain amount of calories or energy that we're going to expend per day. Regardless, if I do absolutely nothing and I lay on the couch today, I know that personally I'm going to burn about 2,500 calories. If I'm consuming fewer calories than my body is burning, I'm going to lose weight. There was a professor at a university that to prove this point, he went into a caloric deficit. So he's eating fewer calories than he's burning, but he ate nothing but Twinkies for about 2 months and he's losing weight. Now, he feels like crap because micronutrients are poor. He's probably going to be hungry a lot. You're having a lot of sugar highs, so there's a lot of flexibility or fluctuation there. So it's not a diet that he wants to maintain long-term, but the proof is that I could eat nothing but Twinkies and I can lose weight if we're in a caloric deficit. If I want to gain weight and I want to gain muscle, then for the most part, we want to be in a caloric surplus. I need to eat more calories if I want to try and add weight on. Most people, when we start talking about nutrition, we start looking at tracking. Really, we start talking about macronutrients. And everybody says, okay, you got to know what your macros are. You get a macro plan for you. You eat the right amount of macros, you're going to hit all your goals. I'll go into a class and I ask people generally, what are the macronutrients? It's rare when people can name all of the macronutrients. So there's three primary macros that we talk about. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. There is one more macronutrient that people really like. It's just not commonly discussed in the nutrition realm, which is alcohol. Alcohol is a macronutrient. It's just generally that's not something that we're looking at diets. And so once we start talking about individual macronutrients, now is where the real confusion comes in. Because some people think fats are bad, some think carbohydrates are bad. Okay, protein's great, we need lots of protein. But really understanding the principle of what each macronutrient does helps me to refine my diet. You're just listed as Tawas Wellness, so I see your hand is raised. Go ahead. You're still muted.
I'm muted. Sorry. I just wanted to let you know we had a couple other people pop in and they might have missed a very important thing that you said about alcohol because it was actually brought up in our class this morning as one of those nutrients. Did you call it a macronutrient? Or what were
alcohol is a macronutrient. So one of the defining factors about macronutrients is the caloric density of each one. And if anybody's taking notes, this is something that I would write down. It impacts me. So proteins and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9 calories per gram. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram. And so it is a macronutrient in that realm. For tracking purposes and diet purposes, most of the time we just kind of lump it in with carbohydrates. But technically it is its own macronutrient. So the first thing that I do with most people is explain the purpose behind each macronutrient. And so that you understand that, and it can kind of change your outlook on food. Protein. Protein is number one discussed. If I could teach you nothing today, except for one thing, you said I get to teach one sentence that's going to impact dramatically how your diet's going to look. Your goal should be lean protein. 1 gram of lean protein per pound of desired body weight. That was, if I had one sentence for you, that would be it. If you're in here and you're thinking, I want to bulk up, I want to add more muscle, I want to be a bodybuilder, and I want to be 225 pounds, you should be eating 225 grams of lean protein per day. If you're sitting here and you're saying, I need to lose weight, I want to cut, I want to be around 160 pounds, roughly 160 grams of lean protein per day. It is pretty much universally true, no matter what goal you're telling me you're trying to hit, that protein is the spot that we're going to focus on. Protein is not fuel. Protein does not fuel an energy system. Protein is the building blocks for muscles. So if you're at the gym and you're lifting weights and your goal is to increase muscle mass, if you are not hitting 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight, you're not providing enough building blocks for your body to create the muscle mass that you want. If you're in a caloric deficit and you're cutting calories out, studies show that really, if we're in a caloric deficit of about 500 calories per day, it's nearly impossible to gain lean muscle mass because we're telling our body we want to lose weight and we're cutting back on the food that we're providing. But at the same time, we're expecting our body to increase mass. Okay. I mean, if you think about anything else, if we told you, I want you to build a bigger house, but I want you to do it with less material available, and I'm going to take material away from you as you're going, it doesn't make sense. That's how your body functions. If we want to build muscle, we need lean protein. When I say lean protein, what I mean by that is that frequently protein comes with other macronutrients. If you eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's, it is protein. However, it came with a lot of fat and carbohydrates. And so when I say a lean protein, I'm talking about something like a low-fat Greek yogurt, low-fat cottage cheese, boneless, skinless grilled chicken breasts, turkey, ground beef, ground venison, bison. I will provide you a list when we're done today. I will send it out of a protein shopping list, carbohydrates and fats for you, as well as some vegetable stuff to make it easy. There is a concept, it's called rabbit death, and it's because rabbit meat itself is extremely lean. If you were to eat nothing but lean protein, it doesn't matter how much you eat. If you were to eat all of the rabbit meat you wanted per day, lean rabbit meat, you would starve to death because protein does not provide energy. If we look at a bodybuilder, if we take people that are the most unique, the most specialized in their category, okay? So a lot of people here are saying like, I want to trim up a little bit. You know, I don't want to be bodybuilderly. I want to add a little bit of muscle and I want to look trimmer. Okay. What do elite bodybuilders do? They eat massive amounts of protein with a whole bunch of carbs and fats to add weight and muscle. They add a bunch of fat with it. Then when they get to the level that they want, they cut all the carbohydrates and fats out. They eat nothing but lean protein to maintain the lean muscle mass that they have, and they dump carbs and fat. And that gets you a 3% body fat body with lots of muscle mass. The exact same concept is true whether you're trying to be an elite bodybuilder or you're the mother of 3 and you're 45 years old and you're just trying to go to the gym and cut some fat out. At the same time, if you're trying to bulk up, okay, we're going to increase protein, but we need to have some carbohydrates and fats to go along with it. And the reason why is that carbohydrates and fats are energy. So carbohydrates, they fuel our glycolytic energy system. Fats fuel our oxidative energy system. In your body, you have 3 energy systems total. The first is called ATP-PC. It's adenosine triphosphate. It's stored in your muscles. It is directly supplemented by creatine. So if you've heard that creatine is a great supplement, creatine is a great supplement. It is the most highly tested, safest, probably least expensive, high benefit supplement that's available on the market. ATP-PC is stored in your muscles. Let's assume we were all in the same room right now and the room started on fire and we were all going to sprint out of the room. So we jump out of our chairs and we're going to run absolutely max effort to get out of the room. Our energy is going to come from ATP. If you're going to do a max effort squat today, you're going to max effort bench press, anything, ATP is the energy system that's going to power that lift. ATP only lasts for about 3 to 6 seconds. So we sprint out of the room that's on fire. ATP is being depleted from our muscles. And immediately, because we're at a very high intensity, we're going to assume that we're not just going to run out of the room. We're going to run all the way out of the building now. We're sprinting out of the building. Our body is going to transition into the glycolytic energy system. The glycolytic energy system runs on carbohydrates. It's sugar that's in our blood. So as you eat carbohydrates, there is a blood sugar spike. Sugar is available in our system, and our body can rapidly pull that sugar out and use it for energy. The important thing about that is it doesn't require oxygen to make this change. So this is what we're calling anaerobic exercise. When you're doing something that's very high intensity, where we can't maintain it for a very long time, we're above our threshold, our body is burning off sugar that's in the blood. And eventually, as we're sprinting away from the building that's on fire, we'll say maybe you set the fire, you're going to run from the cops, so we're going to continue running now. We're going to run for 2 miles. Your body is going to naturally slow down to a point till you get to your oxidative energy system. In the oxidative energy system, it starts using oxygen to convert fat into sugar in your blood to continue fueling your body as you're moving along. So now if we want to go on a long duration run, oxidative energy system is going to keep working. Think of this though as like a dimmer switch. Okay, so it's not like there's a switch that suddenly shuts off. ATP is off, glycolytic is on, glycolytic shuts off, oxidative is on. We can kind of move back and forth through these energy systems. So we've sprinted out of the building. We start into that long distance run. And while we're in the long distance run, our glycolytic energy system is recharging a little bit and our ATP starts to recharge. And so now at the end of the run, we want to increase pace and start sprinting again. We're sprinting for the finish. We're going to have some glycolysis and some of that ATP available for that last second burst. So carbohydrates are fueling the glycolytic energy system. Fats fuel our oxidative energy system. We are all running on our oxidative energy system right now. If you're sitting here doing nothing, your body is burning small amounts of fat to keep our energy going and doing what we need to do. If you just got done eating dinner, and let's say you had a pasta heavy dinner or something like that, a lot of carbohydrates, and our blood sugar spikes, the glycolytic energy system is charged up and it's ready to go. But if we're not going to do anything with it, our blood sugar is going to be high, and our body's going to say, well, it's too high, we're not using that. It's going to send insulin out, it's going to pull sugar out of our blood, and it's going to store it. It'll store it in our pancreas and our liver and our muscles. And now it's available if we're going to go in to do exercise later on. If we don't do exercise and there's only so much we can store, it's going to get converted into fat for our oxidative energy system. And the bad thing about fat is we have no upward limit of how much we can store. If you keep putting fuel in the tank, you're going to keep storing fat. If you keep eating carbohydrates and not using the glycolytic energy system, it's going to keep getting converted into fat. No macronutrient, maybe alcohol, no macronutrient are bad. Carbohydrates have their purpose. If you're somebody that's like, I want to work out, I'm trying to get in the gym, I'm trying to move more, we're doing circuit training, we're having high intensity stuff, you need carbohydrates to fuel your performance during those workouts. So one of the ways that you would start looking at food is when we start to consider it as being fuel. As I'm meal planning, at any one meal, I would like to say, what's your protein? Like, protein is the starting source for what my meal is, because one, I'm trying to hit 200 grams of protein per day. Protein is the most satiating, so when we eat it, we feel full for the longest period. It requires 26% more energy for our body to break protein down than it does carbohydrates and fats, which actually means that in the process of eating protein, we burn more calories. Burning more calories is good because for a lot of us, if we're trying to lose fat, we're trying to trim up, we're now increasing metabolism just by eating the stuff that's feeding my muscles. So I focus around protein, and then we think, okay, what's our carbohydrate load going to look like today? If you told me that it's breakfast time and at 9 a.m. you're planning to go out and you're going to go run a 5K, or you're training for a marathon, you have a long run distance, you're going to do circuit training, you're doing something like that, then you should be having some carbs with your breakfast, something to prep you for the workout. If it's nighttime and you're getting ready to go to bed and you're eating a pasta heavy dish, well, you're probably going to sleep great, but you're probably going to store fat overnight because your body is going to be pulling carbohydrates out of your bloodstream. Fats kind of get a bad rap, but our brain requires about 20 grams of fat per day to function and keep us alive. If you're not getting fat intake, eventually it would cause some substantial issues. If anybody has watched the TV show Alone, they drop people off in the wilderness. They're going to try and survive in the wilderness for as long as possible. And on that show, they monitor them a lot because they're watching for things like they're not getting fat, most of them. There is even one episode where a guy kills a deer and he's eating a deer and the other contestants are not. He is starving at a faster rate than everyone else because he's eating a very lean protein source, which is firing his metabolism up. His digestion is having to run when other people are not eating. So its body is just shutting down digestion, saying, we don't need that energy system. We're not going to have to do any of that. So he's consuming this protein, which is causing him to then actually starve faster than other people on the show. It's really good for him mentally because obviously he thinks that he's eating and he's happy. He's got something in his stomach. But realistically, if that kept up, he would starve faster than others. You'll even see that sometimes a lot of the people on the show are fairly smart with nutrition, and they know that they're trying to save all of the fat out of some of those animals they can, because really they would much rather have a fatty substance available to them or carbohydrates than that lean protein. They don't need protein. They're not trying to muscle build out in the woods. They're trying to survive for long periods, so they need fat and carbohydrates. Any questions so far? Okay. There was a question in the email that was kind of related to this topic, so I'm going to hit on it now. And it says, is all protein created equal? Is processed protein powder as good as protein from whole foods? First, I'm going to clarify whole foods because I have had confusion with it in the past. Whole food means a food that is very close to what it looks like when it comes out of the field or the woods. An apple picked from an orchard is a whole food. Applesauce is not a whole food. It's been processed. It looks like something different. So we're going through a processing to get to that point. Jennifer, you had a question?
Yeah, I just had and you can answer this at any point in time, but what about if you could touch on fasting, like eating or working out in a fasted state, because some of our
Yes.
workouts are in the morning. So like
Yeah.
8 a.m. we'll have a workout, and I've heard mixed on, it's good to work out in a fasted state. Others say you should have some protein. So I just had a question about that.
Okay. I will answer it.
Okay.
So first, the protein powder and whole foods. Whole foods, less processing the better. It is important to remember though that processing is kind of a fluid term. Technically, if I take broccoli from the grocery store, a head of broccoli, it's a whole food. If I boil it, that's a form of processing. It's slightly processed. I broke it down a little bit for my body to be able to eat. Now, that's not a bad level of processing. But whole foods, we're trying to eat things that look like they're natural. The question on protein powders and whether or not all protein sources are created equal, this is a pretty easy answer. The answer is no. Protein powders are not equal to whole foods. The reason being is that protein powders do not include vitamins and micronutrients that are present in whole foods. So when you eat a piece of chicken, a piece of steak, tofu, fish, whatever you're eating, you are getting a lot of other micronutrients in it, other than just the macronutrient of protein that your body needs. Protein powders are a great way to increase our protein needs. And if you're somebody that's like, I'm trying to get to 200 grams of protein today, and I'm a little bit short, so I'm going to have a protein shake at night. Great. That's aligns with what your goals are. You're paying attention to protein intake and you're getting some. If you're saying that I'm going to remove all whole foods, I'm going to remove food from my diet and just drink protein shakes, that's a problem. You're going to see substantial impact from doing something like that. The question on the fasted state, it takes me really kind of into a whole nother realm of talking about, I say fad diets. There's lots of fad diets. Carnivore, keto, fasting, intermittent fasting. The answer is, and I have scientific back studies on all of this stuff. If anybody wants to see them, I enjoy reading those things sometimes, but most people don't. Intermittent fasting works, but not for the reason that people think. It's not because our body gets into a state of ketosis. Really, it's that for most people, if I'm the type of guy that just eats all the time and I'm overweight and I decide, okay, I need to do something, I'm going to go into intermittent fasting and I'm only going to eat 6 hours out of the day, and 18 hours of the day, I'm going to have nothing. It dramatically reduces the amount of calories that I'm taking into my body. It's what I started this class off with, which is calories in, calories out. If I pay attention to when I'm eating and I say 18 hours a day or 16 hours a day, whatever it is, I'm not going to eat anything, it drastically reduces calorie intake for most people. And so then we see that there is going to be weight loss that comes with it. As far as if somebody came to me and says, should I do this? I've lost 20 pounds. Should I do intermittent fasting? If you're telling me that your goal is to lose weight and you've lost 20 pounds on intermittent fasting, I would say high five. It's working for you. How do you feel? If you're healthy in the other ways, you feel good, you're doing your workouts, it fits within what your schedule is, then great. That's a solution. If to me, intermittent fasting is not something that's going to work for the rest of my life. I am not going to eliminate 16 hours of the day when I'm going to be able to eat for the rest of my life and tell my family I can't do brunches or I can't do dinners or I can't have a drink past 10 p.m. So I'm looking for a solution for how my diet's going to work that doesn't require me to be on some specified regimen. As far as workouts go, knowing now that carbohydrates fuel that glycolytic energy system, if you were to go into the gym in a fasted state and expect to be able to work really, let's say at like a 60-minute duration or beyond, especially at a high intensity, you're going to suffer. You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to say, man, something's just not quite right. I feel a little bit off. And your body will start to adapt. And that's one of the reasons why in intermittent fasting and ketosis doesn't work the way they think. Our body, initially, we start doing this intermittent fasting. We're not feeding it. We go into ketosis, which has a benefit to it. Our body figures it out and says, okay, we're getting these low blood sugars and we're having issues at this time of day. And so it just starts to adjust and pull fat and start bringing us back up to a level that we're functional at so that it has the energy where it needs. Our body is really good at adapting. And frequently you'll have somebody that's like, man, I've been eating right for a week and I haven't seen a change. Or I've been eating right for a month. I've only lost a pound. The fact is, our bodies don't want to change weight all the time. If you eat 500 extra calories today and you eat 1,000 extra calories tomorrow, your body's not like, okay, we got to put on half a pound. It's looking to make adjustments. So when you start bringing in a lot of food, your body boosts metabolism up. And it says, okay, we got tons of food available. Let's speed up metabolism. Let's fire everything up. We're going to burn all this energy off. And at the same time, when you stop feeding it, your body goes, oh, okay, we're not getting food. I don't know when food's coming in again. So I'm going to slow everything down. I'm going to slow down my metabolism and I'm going to hold on to the calories and energy that I've got until we get fed again. So intermittent fasting, one, is going to start to slow your metabolism down. And if I really want to perform well when I work out, I know, especially me, because I've tested a lot of these different things on myself. I'm an endurance focused athlete. I use a lot of carbohydrates. And when I'm fasted or even just have like a low amount of carbs and I expect to perform well, I feel sluggish. I get about 45 minutes into a hard workout. And there's one in particular, like Jen, the overpass run with recruits. I lead them on the overpass run. It's notoriously miserable. We're doing sprints over a big hill.
Yeah.
I went into that with not enough carbs, and about 45 minutes in, I was struggling. And so now I know that before I lead that workout, I have a white bagel with peanut butter on it. And there's a plan. Peanut butter it's simple. It's sugar that's available right now. As soon as I eat it, I'm going to get a blood sugar spike. The bagel is a more complex carbohydrate, meaning it's going to take my body longer to break that down and get the benefit from it. So by eating it before I go to the workout, I'm getting blood sugar now. But as my body starts to break that down, I have a carb in my belly that's continuing to feed sugars into my blood and keep that up for me while I start to go out and run. So intermittent fasting, if it works for you, great. Mm-hmm. If your goal is to perform in the gym, I would try to adjust my intermittent fasting schedule so that I could have something to eat before I went in the gym. Also, you go in the gym, you work out, you lift, you break those muscles down. There's a window of time that's optimal for protein to feed the muscles. There's protein synthesis. Essentially, you get out of the gym, we really want you to have some protein and a little bit of carbohydrates. Let's replenish the blood sugar and the energy that you use. Let's get protein immediately available for your muscles so your muscles can start rebuilding. If I'm in an intermittent fasted state at that point and I'm not going to eat for a while, it's really going to damage my gains in the gym.
Yeah, I guess that's just like one of the things is I don't necessarily not eat because I'm doing like fasting. It's just our workout is at 8, so then I have I get up or we're ready to go at 7, so then now I'm eating. You know what I mean? It's more just it's just like, oh, I got to get up and have something. But I've just been reading how important it is to fuel more. But I feel when I do the workout, I feel pretty good. Honestly, I don't feel like I mean, granted, I'm not doing like we're not, doing like a major hit workout, but we're doing like an hour of all different types of some lifting, some aerobics, but I just need to make that more a part, really try to get something in my system. It
is going to vary from person to person. I know that I'm a carb heavy person, that I need them to perform well. I've practiced it enough to be aware of what it feels like to me to be low carb. Mm-hmm. And I expect to perform at a high level. So depending on how hard your workout is, how much break you're taking, some days if you might not notice a difference. But if you think, man, yesterday I had a bagel in the morning, we did this hit workout and I felt really good. Like we got in the last few rounds and I was crushing reps and I was going above and beyond and I had like pep in my step. And today I had a really good workout, but I was tired. Mm-hmm. It could be a slight change in nutrition. It could be hydration. It could be sleep. It could be other things. But for me, as I start to refine that stuff, I know now that I need carbohydrates pre-workout if I want to perform my best. Um, if you look at an ultra athlete, somebody's going to go out and run 50 miles. We don't eat protein. I eat the worst stuff. I eat stuff I never would eat in my regular day when doing something that's ultra long distance, because now I want sugar. I'm trying to constantly boost that glycolytic energy system up. So I'm starting the morning off with like a complex carb and a simple carb like peanut butter and a bagel. But then I'm drinking flat soda. I'm eating candy. I'm eating Pop Tarts. I have gummy bears in my pockets, gel packs. If you see the gel packs that a marathon runner, all that is sugar. It's simple sugar for you to be able to slurp down and for your body to immediately absorb and fuel that glycolytic energy system. And so the real point before we like move on here that I want to make is on the big macronutrients. Lean protein is not energy. You can eat all the lean protein that you want. If you're not consuming extra carbohydrates and fat with it, it's not going to turn into fat. It's not an energy source for you. It's feeding your muscles. It makes you feel full and satiated. It boosts your metabolism. Lean protein is good. Carbohydrates fuel the glycolytic energy system. Glycolytic energy system is from moderate to high intensity and a moderate to short-term duration. So you're doing a HIIT class, you're going to do a run. Even for some of you, like if I was going to go chop wood, that's something that's going to perform energy, and I'm going to be in that glycolytic energy range. If I want to work hard and chop wood and cut and move firewood around, I would want to have some carbs in my system before that. And if I started to feel trashy, carbs would be the thing that I would be looking for. Fats fuel our oxidative energy system. They're important to how we function. You don't generally need to add fat to your diet. Okay. When you're eating things like you eat a steak's got fat in it. When you cook a boneless, skinless chicken breast and you're putting olive oil in the pan, olive oil is your fat. And so we frequently forget to measure or monitor the things like the tablespoon of oil that we're putting into a pan or the dressing that's going onto a salad. And so if you want to have a good idea on how to build a plate, the first thing that I would do is, what's my lean protein source? If you're looking at your meals and you're saying, I don't have a protein, I'm eating macaroni and cheese and having a beer and a piece of bread. Okay, well, now we're very carb and fat heavy. And then it's going to explain why you're not meeting your goals. I'm not gaining muscle. I'm not getting leaner. I'm hungry all the time. There is so many things to it that you should be like, okay, I'm going to have macaroni and cheese for dinner. Great. What's my lean protein to start with? Well, I'm going to have a grilled chicken breast and I'm going to eat grilled chicken breast and I'm going to have macaroni and cheese as a side, a moderate amount, because I want some fat and I want some carbohydrates and I like macaroni and cheese. And I'm not expecting you to like totally modify your diet to be like, I don't want you to hate everything that you eat. So it's choosing a proper portion and eating correctly. Carbohydrates, fats, proteins, all important. There's no bad food. Complex carbohydrates are not bad. Simple carbohydrates are not bad. We're talking about how fast does the sugar hit your blood? A fruit is a simple carbohydrate. Eating strawberries, eating berries, fast blood sugar spike. Eating pasta, complex carb. It takes time for my body to break it down. If I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, I want to eat pasta tonight. But tomorrow morning, I want to eat the fruit. The fruit's going to hit my system. I don't want a baked potato right in my stomach while I'm trying to go run a marathon. I want fruit and fast sugar. Go ahead. What's your question? Oh, you're muted again.
Okay. The whole protein thing, because I know we kind of preface with that, but it is so mainstream, like you said, and it has been for a long time. And I've been, in this field for a while as well, doing studies and stuff. And I was pure vegan for a while and mostly out of laziness because I don't enjoy cooking meat and still don't. But I just from a plant-based perspective, is there a protein you would recommend that could be used as plant-based protein? And then secondary question, like I was eating breakfast burritos all the time. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's protein in my breakfast or in my bean burrito, but it's a lot more carb heavy than a regular lean protein would
Yes.
be. So just from a plant perspective, what would be a good protein, would you say?
Tofu is the most protein dense, like vegan option that's available. Edamame is a good one. There's plenty of options out there. The most significant thing when vegan or vegetarian comes to me and wants help with this, the protein density in vegetable based options is substantially lower than protein density in something like a chicken breast, meaning we have to eat a lot more tofu to get the same level of protein that we're getting out of chicken. And so frequently, if you're, we'll say, a vegan bodybuilder and you're like, man, I'm eating all the time, you are going to have to eat a lot and you're probably still not hitting the protein goals that they need. They have to consume a ton because there's less calorie density in the options that they're eating. That's where it also becomes risky, is that, okay, I'm trying to get extra protein from plant-based sources, but now I'm bringing along a lot of carbohydrates and fats because I'm wrapping it in a tortilla or I'm having other things that are going with it. So monitoring that becomes really important. Um, I can, the list that I provide you have vegan options and things on it as well. Actually, I should say right now, the program that I coach with is worldwide. So you'll see that on like the protein options, it'll have things like camel, kangaroo, insects on it. Don't feel like you need to eat those. It's just that in some cultures, that's the stuff that they're eating. So,
Yeah.
um,
Um, my other question would be the fats, and not adding fats, because there's also a lot of stuff out there right now, especially for women, and increasing your fat by means of like ghee, grass fed, and the difference between those good fats and
yeah.
just eating like an avocado a day. Whereas a few years ago, I would be like, oh no, I can't eat a whole avocado. That's too much fat. But just where and why the shift, and how you've researched that.
So there is good fats and bad fats. And the easiest way for me to explain good fat and bad fat, if we were to say saturated and unsaturated fats, the most simple level. Um, I want you to imagine, normally I'd draw it on the board, parking spaces. Okay. So like hash lines, there's a bunch of cars parked all the way around the parking lot. Everybody can visualize that.
Mhm.
In a saturated fat, imagine that all of the parking spaces are full. There's no available spots for another car to park. In an unsaturated fat, there's some free spaces. There's parking spots that are available. What occurs with unsaturated fat is that those parking spaces that are available become available for things like fiber to bind to and move the fat through your system.
Mm.
And so an unsaturated fat frequently is not fully absorbed into our digestive tract. So we're not reaping all of the nutrients out of us unsaturated fat, and it tends to move through our body a lot faster. Where saturated fats tend to hang around and we're pulling more calories and more fat out of it, if that makes sense. So something like an avocado, which is a heart healthy fat and is unsaturated, it does still have a high calorie content. It may be a healthier fat, but ultimately, talking about calories in, calories out, if your personal, we'll say your allotment for calories today is 2,000 calories, if 500 calories are coming from the avocado, it's a healthy fat, but it's still 25% of what you're allowed to eat today. Does that answer your question? Okay. We want to try, I don't say just add fat into our diets. When we're looking at certain things like salmon with omega-3 fatty acids that are in it, we're naturally getting fats there. The oils that we're cooking with. When you can transition from a canola oil into using an avocado oil or an extra virgin olive oil and cutting back where we need to, there's lots of little spots where things that we're paying attention to can just be reduced a little bit. We're kind of bringing fat content down. I'm going to probably show you something at the end of class that's going to blow your minds, but I've had very good responses, and it's super simple. Our goal, as I mentioned, is to modify what our diet looks like so that you can not have to weigh stuff all the time, that you're not constantly tracking things. That one, from a mindfulness standpoint, we pay attention to our body. So right now, if you're sitting here and you're like, I'm hungry, I kind of want you to think about it and say, am I really hungry or am I bored? Am I stressed? Am I looking for dopamine and serotonin? And so I'm going to go eat a chocolate bar? Because if you're really hungry, the chocolate bar is not going to fill you up.
Mhm.
If you're really hungry, the chips aren't going to do it. So if you have things like lean proteins in your fridge, like low fat cottage cheese, Greek yogurts, boneless, skinless chicken breasts, a little bit of burger and rice or something like that. If you're opening the fridge doors and you're like, I'm hungry, but I don't eat those. Okay. Well, then you're probably not hungry. You're probably having a craving and you're looking for like, I want something salty. I want something savory. I'm looking for sweets. I'm having like, I'm stressed about work. And so I'm looking for chocolate. If you're in tune enough to be able to pay attention to that, that's the time where you go, you know what? I'm gonna time out. I'm not gonna eat it right now. I'm gonna go for a walk for 10 minutes. I'm gonna get out in the sun. I'm gonna do some movement. I'm gonna eat the Greek yogurt first. And if I'm still hungry or I decide, you know what? I do need some serotonin. I'm pissed off about work or my kids are irritating me. And so I'm gonna have some chocolate. I want you to pick a reasonable amount of chocolate and then enjoy it. Because for the most part, we tend to take things like a piece of birthday cake and we sit down and I'm talking to Jen and I'm like, okay. And I wolf down a whole piece of cake and I never enjoyed any.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, I'm still hungry. I'm mad at myself that I ate the cake. It was such a waste. My wife and I, we have a constant joke where we say it's not worth the calories. If I say it's not worth the calories, that means to her, don't take a bite. Like it is not good enough for us to waste our dessert calories on that. Like on the opposite side of it, I say you're going to hate it. That means it's probably really good. And if she takes a bite, she's going to want to eat more. So you should be setting your diet up so that you get to enjoy stuff. Your birthday's coming up. You want to have cake. You're going to have dessert on the weekend. Just as how do we regulate the stuff that we're consuming and pay attention and understand what macronutrients look like? All of you probably have different goals. Generally, most people are saying, I'm trying to lose weight. If you're trying to lose weight, ideally, we would like to see about a 500 calorie deficit per day. If you're consuming 500 calories less than energy output is, you're going to lose a pound a week if we were able to hit that every single day. Calorie tracking is inherently flawed. Calorie tracking apps and monitors are inherently flawed because it's just a standard formula. You're putting a watch on, it's saying your heart rate is this for a set period of time, and you're a 40-year-old female. Here's how many calories you burn. But the studies have shown that metabolism from one person to the next are extremely different. And so we can't rely on technology to tell us how much we should be eating. We really have to start relying on our own body and paying attention to, am I hungry? How do I feel? Man, I went into that workout fasted and I felt really trashy. I think tomorrow I'm going to try eating some carbs ahead of time. The reason I mentioned peanut butter bagel, because I know if I got a race today, if I'm doing something that I know that a peanut butter with bagel is going to give me the energy I want, it's not going to upset my stomach. I'm not going to be in the bathroom 10 minutes after I start running. It works for me. I also know that there are certain things that if I'm being really strict, there are certain things that work. There's stuff that I have mapped out that I know. People tell me all the time that eating 200 grams of protein is tough. I'm going to tell you, it's really not that tough. I start my day normally not peanut butter. I start with whipped cream cheese on a white bagel and a Fairlife protein drink. Fairlife protein, if you're not familiar with it, it is from milk, but it is ultra high filtered. The lactose is removed from it. They actually pull the protein out of milk and then they put it back into this with some chocolate. And so it is a rich, creamy, delicious chocolate milk drink that is 30 grams of protein and a very low amount of carbs and fats. That with a bagel with whipped cream cheese is 40 grams of protein. It's carbohydrates to start my day. It's 40 grams of protein. I have it with my coffee. I enjoy my breakfast. Mid-morning, Greek yogurt, like a Chobani, there's 25 grams, or I'm sorry, 15 grams of protein in one of the Greek yogurts, low fat. I typically eat 2. That gives me 30 grams. There is a new thing that I've seen recently called Ratio, and Ratio is supposed to be like a macro balance snack. Their yogurt has got 25 grams of protein in it. It's got a little bit of sugar. It has vanilla flavoring. It's really good. It's only 25 grams, which means I don't have to eat two of them. I could just have one. That puts me, we'll say 30 plus more, that's 70 grams right there. And all I've had is some yogurt, a bagel, and a drink. Now, usually mid-morning, if I'm getting ready to work out, cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a high protein, low carbohydrate, low fat option that really goes into, it makes 1,000 recipes nowadays. If you hate cottage cheese, I feel bad for you, because it's like the secret in losing weight is cottage cheese is pretty amazing. We make fettuccine Alfredo and we use cottage cheese as the sauce, and it's awesome. You would never know that cottage cheese was in it. I put cottage cheese, I put some blueberries in there. The blueberries give me carbs. The cottage cheese is protein. Now I'm ready to go down to the gym. My blood sugar's up slightly, naturally. I've got protein available for the muscles I'm going to go work out. Food prep. We do a variety of food prep stuff in our house. It is not the daunting task that everybody thinks that it is. I take 1 pound of ground venison. I brown it in a pan. I don't put anything else in there. I just cook a unseasoned pound of ground venison. There's a box of wild rice from Aldi that I like. It has 3 servings in a box. It has seasoning that comes with it. I cook that rice. I dump all of the rice in with the burger. I mix it together and I split it into 4 portions. And so it takes me 20 minutes to make this meal. It gets me 4 meals. I know that I'm getting a 1/4 pound of lean ground venison, and I'm getting less than a serving of wild rice. And so post-workout, I get the carbs that I need to replenish, and I get protein for my muscles. And by the time I eat that, I'm at about 150 grams of protein, and that's after lunch without any real meal prep, anything. Like, I have a fridge at my desk at work. I just keep cottage cheese and Greek yogurts in there. I don't need to have a ton of time for this. I just know that those are my go-to options. If I'm hungry during the day, I can eat more cottage cheese or Greek yogurt. But then for dinner, it's protein focused. What's our protein for dinner going to be? That's our conversation is always going to start. We're doing chicken, we're doing steaks, we're doing fish. How are we cooking it? And then what's going with it? You guys mentioned you had steak salads. That's one I do a lot. Okay, so I'm going to have a steak. I'm going to throw it on a salad. I'm going to make sure that I've got lots of good mixed vegetables in there. I'm not putting a dressing on it that's overly high in fat. I like a balsamic vinaigrette. If you want something like ranch dressing, one of the tips that I use is put the ranch dressing in a cup on the side, dip your fork in the ranch, and then take bites. You will find the salad tastes the same, and when you're done, you will have used a tiny bit of ranch dressing compared to what you normally use. So frequently, if there's enough dinner to be left over for a meal tomorrow or meal prep, I do that. If we make tacos, okay, a low carb tortillas are an option. And then I take taco meat and put it in with some Mexican rice, throw some taco salad stuff on top of it. You've got lunch for tomorrow. And you know that all of these things are fairly macro balanced. I know that I have a protein at the front. I've got some carbs that are going in there, and I'm keeping fat as low as I can. And then I'm working around that with my life. To talk to like do nutrition in an hour, this is stuff I could talk on for probably days. And so I'm trying to give you a few different concepts, but I'm going to show you something here in a minute that will help you. My primary purpose coming in was to kind of understand the calories in, calories out principle. Understand what macronutrients do so that at a bare minimum, you can kind of look at your plate and look at it and say, I've got a protein, I have carbohydrates, and I have fats, and I'm controlling those generally portioned. Does everybody understand that? And is there any questions on that? Go ahead. Your screen says Bill. Are you Bill?
I am. I'm not. I'm actually Becky, but
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I have a Fitbit, love it or don't love them. I know they're not really accurate, but I'm kind of confused on the macros because I do the food tracking on it,
Yep.
and it tracks the macros, but I don't know what my goals are. Like, should I have 40% protein, 20% carbs, 10% fat? That doesn't even add up to 100,
Yeah.
but I don't even know how to use it. I'm using it, but I don't know if I'm doing well. Does that make sense? Is there like a guideline for that? If I'm
There
trying
is
to lose weight, but I also don't want to be flabby.
Yeah.
So,
There is a guideline for it. There's something that, like, if you were my client and I was coaching you, I would actually make you a full plan and we would kind of go through it. It varies a little bit based on what our body goals are. our current weight? Are we trying to lose weight? Are we trying to gain weight? I mentioned generally, if we're trying to lose weight, a safe amount is about a pound a week. What's your activity level like? What's your job? Are you somebody who sits all day long and I do a 30-minute workout 3 times a week? Or are you somebody that's got like, I have an active job and I'm active after work, or I'm training for something? So for most people, the protein number I mentioned at the beginning, 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight.
Okay.
So whatever weight you're trying to get to, protein would be the first number. Carbohydrates depends on your energy level. So how old are you, Becky?
I'm 53.
Okay. And what's your job? Are you like fairly sedentary at work?
I'm retired, but I run around a lot, and I'm not very sedentary. I mean, if
Any
I'm
idea on like how many steps you get in per day?
like 10,000 to 12,000, but that's not even when I'm trying to get a lot. So
And then
I
do
just
you
eat
work
a
out?
lot.
She's she's one of our wellness warriors, so she works out
I do
quite
work
a
out.
bit.
I work out 5 or 6 days a week. I really like
Okay.
food. That's
Yeah.
I would say realistically, just rough numbers. One, as a female at your age, metabolism is slowing down. What's your desired body weight?
160, and I'm 190 now.
Okay, so you would be roughly, we'll say 150 to 160 grams of protein. Probably close to the same number with carbohydrates. It might go up just a little bit, but probably in that range.
Okay.
Fiber is a big factor also. So if you eat a lot of fiber, we can have some more carbs. And then for fats, for most people, general, I say try to keep fats under 100 grams.
Okay.
It really, that takes work. It takes paying attention. And so if you can keep fats under 100 grams and your carbohydrates roughly equal to where your protein is at, I think that you would start seeing a shift in weight.
Okay. No, that's very helpful. I just never had guidelines. I just recorded and didn't do much with it.
But Blaine, what would you say is a good way to record? Because you said a lot of them. I mean, is there a certain one that you think is
as far as an app?
Yeah, as far as how to record that, because like you said, there's so much change in that.
I don't generally, if people really want to track and they want to log stuff, I recommend one called Lose It. LOSEIT exclamation point. It's got a little orange scale on the icon. The reason I recommend it is because it's free. It will read nutritional labels. It saves the food that you're eating. So if you eat the same stuff over and over again, you can say import yesterday's breakfast. I've found that it's fairly accurate when I've used it. A lot of people used not Fitbod, it's MyFitnessPal, but they recently started charging a subscription. And so that's why I say I would do Lose It. The program that I work with, we actually use your hand to track macronutrients. So generally, because your hand's with you all the time, you don't have to weigh stuff out. It makes it a little bit easier. So we recommend like a serving of protein is roughly the size of your palm and the thickness of your palm. So if I'm having a piece of chicken and I look at it, I'm like, well, it's twice as big as my palm and as thick, it would be 2 servings of protein for me. We look at vegetables as being the size of your fist, carbohydrates being a cupped handful of cooked carbohydrates. So if you're making rice, 1 serving of carbohydrates would be a cupped handful of it. And then fats are healthy fats are the size of your thumb. And we kind of give you a like, hey, I'd like you to have 7 palms of protein today. I'd like you to have 6 servings of vegetables. So then if you're like, okay, well, I had a big chicken breast and 2 scoops of vegetables, you can just kind of mark off that you've got those boxes. I don't need specific weights, individual numbers, or anything like that to know that we're being successful. You're going to see the results if you're doing that.
So basically, if I keep my ratio of the proteins and carbs, trying to increase the fiber, but try to keep the protein and carbs about equal. That would,
yes, that would without having you like more time with you or anything else, that would be a fairly safe rough estimate. But let me show you guys something. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and so I pulled these up earlier. Let me see. you should be able to see Chat GPT, and it says on my screen, what can I help you with? Okay. This is a free artificial intelligence-based program that's online. It is chatgpt.com. You do not have to create a login for this. If it says just stay logged out, you can say stay logged out. It does source information. So don't put anything in here you don't want out on the web. Don't put social security numbers, credit card numbers, stuff like that into ChatGPT. Okay. It's really intuitive. It's super fast. So I'm going to tell it, make me a meal plan. 3 days. That includes 200 grams protein, 300 grams of carbs, 100 grams fats. Include a shopping list. I don't like eggs. Okay. You can see I made a spelling error in here. I'm not going to correct it. I'm not using any like super grammar or anything with it. I basically am just telling it I want a meal plan and I wanted a shopping list. Okay. It says, here's your 3-day meal plan that aligns with your macros of 200 grams of protein, 300 grams of carbs, 100 grams of fats per day. Since you don't like eggs, I've avoided them and provided alternatives, and I've included a shopping list. Day 1, for breakfast, we're having Greek yogurt, plain, full fat, 200 grams. Oats, 50 grams, blueberries, 50 grams, almond butter, chia seeds. Now, knowing that what we just talked about, you see that we are getting protein, a nice balanced carb to start us off with, a little bit of healthy. A snack midday, protein scoop with banana, which is pretty similar to what I told you I eat on my regular meal anyhow. Lunch, grilled chicken breast with brown rice, some avocado, spinach, and olive oil. Afternoon snack, cottage cheese. I think ChatGPT knows what I like, and some almonds. Dinner, salmon, grilled or baked with sweet potato, broccoli, and olive oil. And then for the evening, this is slow digestion protein. It's saying a scoop of slow digestion protein to get me to where I need. Day 2, whole different meal plan. It's giving me something different for breakfast, something different as a snack. Lunch, it's telling me what I need. Day 3, and then here's my shopping list. Proteins, chicken breast, 400 grams. Ground turkey, 93% lean, 200 grams. Carbohydrates, vegetables, and fats. Now, let's say I looked at this and I was like, oh, I forgot. I don't like fish. Move. It'll say, got it. I made an adjustment. Let me take fish out of it.
Wow.
So now it adjusts. You can't print from here, but you can copy and paste all of this into a Microsoft Word document, and you can print from a Microsoft Word document. I can also use this to do, well, it can only source the information that you put in. But if you said, how many macros, I've never done this before, so we're learning on the fly. I am a 53-year-old female, 190 pounds, goal weight of
Oh my goodness.
60 pounds. I work out 3 times a week. Okay, so it's giving you an equation on how to calculate your base metabolic rate, and it's factoring it in for you into what it thinks that your calories per day should be. Then it's calculating it, adjusting it for weight loss to give you an adjusted weight loss. And now it provided a macronutrient breakdown that says you should have 190 grams of protein. I told you, high protein. It's saying roughly 30 grams of fat. That's a low number, which is 503 calories or 531 calories from fat. And then your carbohydrates. And here is your summary of what it says that you should eat per day.
Wow.
Not what you should eat, but what your carbohydrate macro nutrient breakdown should look like. Then it's giving you advice on what adjustments would be, how to monitor it, what your exercise should be, and what you're paying attention to. I don't know how tight you are to like the 7:30 timeline. I forgot. Answer 2 more questions real quick. Any questions on the Chat GPT or the AI portion of this? I know I said I was going to blow your mind. So For
Do you
most
just
people,
Google Chat GPT and this comes up?
yeah, if you type in chatgpt.com, it'll come in here.
Awesome.
There's also an app too called Chat GPT that you can just get an app.
Yeah. There's other programs you could be logged in. It does source and save anything that you upload to it. So like if I was a client, I would give you a macronutrient like pack, and we could actually load that in here and say, create a grocery shopping list and a meal plan for 7 days following these guidelines, and it would do it. But just keep in mind, like with the app, some of the stuff I'm more wary when it's on my phone and it's so smart and it can be stealing
That's true.
information.
Yeah, true.
So I just pay attention to that aspect of it.
Keep it generalization. Thank you.
For this purpose, even if you guys wanted, make me a home workout plan that's body weight that I do 3 days a week that hits all muscle groups and takes 45 minutes, it'll tell it to you. The stuff is sourced from the internet, so you kind of have to quality check it. But everything so far, every single thing that I've looked at on here and the stuff that I've done with it, it is in line with how I would coach, what my training programs would look like, what I would expect out of nutrition. The diet stuff has been correct. On these fairly simple tasks, it performs really well. Any other questions on that?
Well,
Is it still possible to build cardio endurance late in life? Will I ever stop huffing and puffing when I work out? Short answer is yes. It is definitely possible to build cardio endurance late in life. Are you going to stop huffing and puffing when you work out? Huffing and puffing is kind of the intent of working out sometimes. We want to generate that heart rate. Without getting long-winded on this, zone 2 heart rate is really important in improving our cardiovascular health. Heart rates are broken down into zones 1 through 5, 5 being close to maximal heart rate, zone 1 being our resting heart rate. Zone 2 is about 50 to 60% of functional heart rate. So the reason that zone 2 heart rate is important is, one, it maximizes our fat loss. It uses fat least optimally. Okay, so like reverse fuel efficiency. So we spend a lot of time in zone 2, we're burning fat at a higher rate. From our heart standpoint, when your heart is beating, and a lot of people are like, okay, I want to train cardiovascular, so I'm going to get my heart rate really high. Your heart rate gets really high, it doesn't fill all the way up with blood. It starts pumping really fast. And when it's pumping really fast, it's not filling with blood to 100%. One of the things that increases our cardiovascular output is that when our heart actually starts to stretch and get bigger and we increase muscle mass with that heart, we get higher stroke volume, meaning more blood per pump. When we're functioning in a zone 2, our heart is filling all the way up with blood and it's contracting really well. And it actually causes it to stretch just a little bit. And so a lot of time spent in zone 2, that heart starts to stretch, it starts to pump harder. And so then when we're functioning at a higher heart rate level, we're pushing more blood out. So if you really are saying, I want to improve cardiovascular health, you should be monitoring your zones, and you should probably at least once a week be spending substantial time in a zone 2 heart rate. It varies from person to person, depending on what your training level is like, what kind of athlete you are. I know exactly how to keep my heart in zone 2 because I've practiced it. I know that if I get on a bike, I can't do it. I'm either too low or I'm too high. If I'm swimming, I struggle to maintain zone 2. But I have a specific workout. If I want to be in zone 2 for a long period, I can just kind of stay in that level. For a lot of you, it might start off with just like walking, might kind of get you into zone 2 or above it. So going for a walk at the speed that you're walking might be counterproductive because your heart rate is higher than where we really want it if our goal is burning fat and improving some of that cardiovascular health. We also, with your circuit trainings, sometimes we can spike that heart through, let's say, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. And now we get rest period, and that heart rate is falling back down through zone 3, zone 2. So we're still spending time in the zone 2 heart rate. And now when we get back down to the bottom of zone 2, we do our next set and we bring it up again. And so now you're getting cardiovascular benefit while you're sitting there doing nothing. What's the best diet for me as a 50-year-old woman? Hopefully we've answered that at this point. There is no definitive best diet. It's what's meeting your personal needs. What do you like to cook? What's available to you? What does your diet taste like? That's There's no answer. If somebody tells you they know a definitive best diet for you at any age, they're a liar or they're confused. How do I get my kids more active and how much water do I really need? Kids more active. For me, your kids will do, I don't know what age range we're talking about. Your kids do the stuff that you do. My daughter, she likes to work out with me. She's 7 years old. She might not be in there like pumping iron, but she's going to ride her scooter around the neighborhood while I'm running. She's seeing what I'm working on, and it's going to become important to her when she gets older, and physical fitness is going to stick with her. I'm out there doing squats. She wants to work with me. We work on squat form, and she's got a PVC pipe and she does movements. She wants to get on the jungle gym and we're doing monkey bars. She works on pull-ups. Physical fitness and activity comes from what are the parents doing? If you're standing around spending time on our cell phones or doing nothing in the house and telling your kids to get outside and get active, it's probably not going to work great. If you're saying, hey, kids, let's go to the playground and we're going to play a game, or I've got an idea or something that gets us moving, or we're going to play tag, or she likes obstacle courses and challenges. So I have to come up with 100 different challenges in the backyard to say, I bet that you can't touch that fence, the monkey bars, climb that rope, then touch that fence and get back here in 45 seconds. All of those things are keeping her active. If you're out there doing it, they'll do it. And then how much water do you need? Again, I don't know who this question came from, what kind of output we're looking at. Realistically, if you're thirsty, you should be drinking water. If we have high output, we need to drink more water. There is a way to determine what your water loss is under load. So I've done it myself where, like, prepping for a long race, essentially weigh yourself in, ideally butt naked. I'm weighing in. Now I'm going to do like a 1 hour intensity workout. I'm not consuming any water during this workout. If I do consume it, I have to weigh it and know exactly how much water I'm consuming. Ideally, we're not consuming anything. So we get on the bike, we get on whatever, we go through it. At the end, I'm going to weigh in again, but naked, and we're going to look for what weight loss we have. The weight loss is coming from water loss. And so now I would know that under intensity, I'm using 20 ounces of water per hour. And so if I'm looking at something like, really, how do I maintain and not get dehydrated? I know that if I'm heavy sweating, I need to be drinking at least 20 ounces of water because that's what my loss is. Most people, you see like the 8 cups, which is 64 ounces of water. Is it wintertime? Is it summertime? Are you inside? Are you active? How much do you talk? I know that days that I'm teaching a lot, I feel like I get dehydrated from talking because I'm losing vapor in my mouth and I'm not spending a lot of time drinking water. And so water depletion, even about 3%, we see substantial decrease in cardiovascular output. If you're asking the question, how much water should I be drinking? You probably should be drinking more water. When I'm really good, most nights I probably have to get up and pee at some point during the night. And then during the day, we're going to start off with water. There's called the thermogenic effect of food too, where your body has to heat food up. It burns calories. So, starting the day off with a cup of ice water actually kind of fires your metabolism up because now your body has to start burning energy to warm that water up. I'm not saying that it's going to suddenly shed pounds for you, but if we're looking at manipulating metabolism and trying to boost that number and lose weight, starting off the day with a cold glass of ice water is going to start boosting that, get metabolism going, and allow you to start eating more. I think I'm 11 minutes over, and I tend to do that a lot. Is there any questions on anything?
Okay. Jen's trying.
Yeah, I was. As far as can you talk about lifting, like lifting versus cardio, some of those, and if you feel like I don't know how everybody else feels. I would love to have another time that maybe we could talk a little bit about, some more questions. But could you talk a little bit about lifting, maybe?
So, if you came to me and you said, how much should I be lifting? What exercises should I be doing? What program should I be on? The first question that I'm always going to ask you is, what's your goal? if you're doing workouts without a goal, if you don't understand what is it that we're trying to get out of the gym, you're never going to get to where you want to be. If you tell me my goal is to increase muscle mass, I want to be a bodybuilder. And I say, what's your workout today? And you say, I'm going into the bench and I'm going to do 45 pounds on the bench and I'm going to do 200 reps. I'm going to say, you're never going to be a bodybuilder because that program is not a hypertrophy based program and it's not going to get you where we want to be. If you say, I want to be a bodybuilder and I'm going to go run for an hour and then I'm going to go hit the gym, I'm going to say, well, that's going to be counterintuitive. So first question is going to be, what goal do you want? Most people, the answer usually is, I want to lose a little bit of weight. I want to increase my muscle mass a little bit. Okay. We're getting into a whole new topic. I'm trying to think of how to.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we can always put that off for another time. I know you could probably go 2 hours on just that alone. I just, one of the things that I try to get some of the women to do, especially women, is how important lifting is, how important, or either lifting or using your body weight, and the level to which you can lift. I guess a little bit of that.
Lifting weights, if your goal is weight loss, lean muscle, look good naked, be able to move my kids around, stand up off the toilet when I'm 80 years old, lifting weights is what's going to get you there. Okay. Cardio might burn calories at a faster rate than what lifting weight does. Lifting weight still is burning calories, but the advantage is that lifting weight is gaining muscle, and muscle mass has a high caloric demand. So when we gain muscle, our metabolism goes up. Now, what's going to happen is that the studies are almost unanimously show that weightlifting will cause weight loss, lean muscle mass, substantially faster than cardio alone. I said a couple times, if we think about the elite versions of a specific sport, what do they look like? If I said pick a sport and you want to look like an elite person in that sport, how many of you say marathon? I want to be super skinny. I want my arms to be as big as my wrists, but man, I can run a marathon in 2 hours. How many say bodybuilder? Probably not. Okay, world's strongest man. Some of us might. Most of you probably would say, I want to look like an athlete. I want to look like a beach volleyball player. I want to look like a CrossFit guy. The reason being is that they're trying to mix all of these things in. So they're weightlifting because we need to build some muscle mass. We're highly active to stay lean. But we're not focusing solely on cardio because the cardio is not developing muscle mass for us. And we're not losing weight at that rate. If you want to be strong and to be able to run a 5K and be able to play sports with your kids, then cardio should be part of it. You should be out there running. You should be doing things that you want to do. If you're telling me that you want to be world's strongest man, then we're going to make a plan that's going to be set for world's strongest man, and running is not going to be part of it. Mm-hmm. If you say you want to be a bodybuilder, okay, we might have some slow running in there, but it's going to be when you're cutting weight. When you're like, I'm trying to get ready for a show and I'm burning calories and I'm eating nothing but lean chicken breast and broccoli and I'm super miserable and I'm spending 5 hours a day on my walking treadmill when I'm not in the gym pumping weights. You look at who your body version is. I bet everybody in here, they spend more time in the gym than they're spending doing cardio.
Okay.
We hear the complaint frequently where people are like, I don't want to be bulky. Okay. Bulky takes work. Trust me. Like I want to bulk a little. I'm trying. It takes work. It is not something that if you go lift up a weight once in a while, suddenly your biceps are going to be popping out and your husbands are going to be kicking you out of the house. That's not an issue that you're going to run into. I mean, not only do you have to be dialed in on nutrition, then on your workouts and making sure everything's right. I've never had a person come be coached by me and be like, man, I got way too bulky. I put on muscle mass so fast. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. It hasn't happened.
I guess there's what I would define bulky as, because I have this tendency, like I'll get in my phase where I'm like, all right, I'm hitting weights, but I'm getting bigger. I'm not feeling like bulky, but I'm feeling bigger. And that's where there's like, I'm not losing fat. I'm just getting the muscle on top of the fat. And I just feel my body's getting bigger. So I've done that before. And that's what has scared me from doing a lot of weights sometimes, but I still integrate it. There's a balance, right? But that's my definition of bulky when you think about just getting bigger in general as you're lifting.
Sometimes when you're at that state, most likely you were eating enough to support the workouts that you were doing to gain mass. And so if you got to a point where you're like, I'm feeling pretty strong, maybe we cut back on some of the nutrition and try and drop some of the body fat to see if the muscle's there and if you're lean and you're getting the look that you want. If you're truly saying, I'm not happy with the look and I think that I've got too much muscle, then we can make an adjustment. For some people, I say, if it was 6 months from now and you looked in the mirror and you were like, I'm perfect. My body is perfect. I'm a stud in the gym. I can run, I can lift, I can do all of the things. And you stepped on the scale and the scale said 500 pounds. Would you be happy or unhappy? And for a lot of women, the answer is unhappy because their self-worth and belief is so tied to the scale that it doesn't matter that they look perfect and they're flawless and you're an elite athlete and you can do all these things. They're too worried about what the weight is. If you gain muscle mass, you're going to gain some weight. But as a guy, I can see him in the background and he's like, yeah, 500 pounds and I'm a stud and I can run, and I can lift. I'd be stoked. But I don't care what the scale says. We're on the other side of it. If the scale said 150, I'd be like, oh. So your worth shouldn't be tied to what the scale looks like. You should be our assessment of whether stuff is working well. If you're going in the gym and you're like, you know what? I can move better. I can pick my kids up. I didn't throw my back out starting the lawnmower today. I didn't get out of bed feeling sore. I'm not stuck on the toilet. There's a simple test that I would put people through. If you're sitting in a chair, and maybe you'll be able to see me. If you're sitting in a chair, and I almost don't want to tell you, when you get up out of the chair, I bet a lot of you shift your weight forward. You put your hands onto your knees, then you press down through your knees, and we stand up just like this. Because instead of making our legs do the work, like we're doing a squat, instead of making our legs do the work, we're shifting that weight into our shoulders. We're taking the weight off of it and making it easier getting out of the chair. Pay attention when you're getting up and down. I want to go to the gym so that when I'm older, I can still move. So that when my daughter's boyfriend comes over, I can still school him at sports or run around with him or look intimidating. I don't want to be that guy that like you twist to pick something up and you're immediately hurt. That's part of why we're in the gym. So when we're talking about those goals and saying, what is it? What's your purpose? Why are you in the gym? If your goal is I want to be fit for life, just doing cardio is not going to get us there. Your life, cardio is here. Cardio is in a straight line. A lot of your lifts are probably here. If you're benching, we're in this linear platform. If we're squats, I talk about it as a hallway. If your workout can occur in a hallway, it's flawed. Life doesn't occur in a hallway. Every move that you make, if you're thinking about, I'm going to pick something up, it's on the ground right here. Do I go, okay, back tight, squat, pick it up? Or do you twist and reach down and grab the groceries up off the ground and we stand up and rotate back? If you're not putting rotational movement in, working through movements that occur in life, you're probably not hitting your goals. But if you were able to say, look, man, maybe I'm not seeing my muscles pop, but I'm feeling better and my knees are better and I'm able to rotate. I picked up this rock in my garden and I moved it to where I wanted it to go. Those are measurements of success to me, much more than what the number on your scale is.
Mm-hmm. Becky knows all about them rocks.
That's right. They ain't gonna move themselves.
No. So obviously sports science stuff I can talk a whole nother class. We could get into it. There's Chat GPT will do programming for that. There is also this. Muscleandstrength.com. Click on workouts. These workouts are written by coaches like me, better than me. These are fantastic written programs from awesome coaches. I've used them myself. Tons of people that I coach through it. I have them pick programs out from here. There's filters for everything from body weight to chest specific, back workouts, beginner workouts, increasing strength, we talked about, increasing muscle, workouts for women, full body. So let's click on one. Fat loss workouts. Okay. Dumbbell only 5-day workout. I'm going to click on this. It tells me my main goal is building muscle. This is a hypertrophy program. It's a split, meaning we're going to do different muscle groups, different days of the week. It's intermediate training level. So if you're a beginner, this is probably not where we want to start. It's 12 weeks long. It's 5 days per week. It's 45 to 60 minutes per workout. It only needs body weight and dumbbells. It's for both genders. Has some recommended subs. Then there's a full written explanation about like key points of the workout written by the coach. Now it gets into the actual workout programming. And one of the things that's great about this is, let's say you're like, I don't know what a dumbbell bench press is. Okay. Click on dumbbell bench press. It takes us to a video with audio from the coach. Maybe not all of them, but most of them have audio that's going to explain how to do that movement and show you. There's a program on here I did for a long time that I really love. Most people, if I'm coaching somebody, I will say, hey, here's the site, take a look through it, find a program that you like, and then come back to me and I will work with you. I will go through it. If there's a workout, a movement you can't do, I will find alternate variations for you. If you need help with coaching on specific forms, I will work with you on it. Our wellness center, I will take you to the wellness center and show you how to use the machines relative to this one and how to track it. And that stuff is 100% free.
And there's no cost to that? That was free?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Even so, for you guys, you plan the workouts most of the time. If you could easily, like, if you wanted to take a couple programs from there, you could take a couple programs and then write those workouts out or make them available somewhere. And you could say, here's a strength building program, here's a muscle building program, here's an endurance focused program, and make it available for clients.
It might be cool because we do have a area where they can come in at any point in time, and maybe giving them some of those workouts, that might at least increase their use of the facility too, when we don't have classes going on.
I find that a lot of people are intimidated. Oh, my battery's dying on my computer. So at probably 8 o'clock, I definitely have to go.
No, yeah.
A lot of people are intimidated by the gym, and they're intimidated by the movements. I don't know how to use the machines. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to look foolish. So the nice thing with setting this up is by giving them videos and showing them they feel more comfortable in it. Mm-hmm. And so now you could say, even if we set this program up and then be there and be like, I'm going to be available. We're starting this program. You're going to work on your own. If you get questions, I'll be here to help you out. I'll come over. I'll work on form. I'll go through some things. I'll give you tips on what it is. But you may get more people showing up to do it because, one, if everybody's doing the same program, maybe they feel more comfortable asking other people for support. If there's a coach there that can help them through some of the movements, I'm a stickler on movement. I'm like understanding how to do form properly. And so if it's a squat, everybody's like, oh, you know how to squat? Well, you probably don't. I am always trying to refine my squat and get better at it. And I'm still not great. And so there's lots of ways for us to continue to improve stuff like that. I'm sure that you can pick a barbell up and call it a deadlift, but I want you to be able to do it without getting injured. And so having the video, having a coach, and then having somebody there that I can work through some of the stuff with you, let's start you at a proper weight and kind of build up. Let's do a trap bar deadlift. Let's put you in a dumbbell deadlifts. Let's work with a band or something like that until we really feel comfortable and build from there. Especially, I think you said your clients are a lot of older people. If that's the case, most of them are probably intimidated by the gym.
Yeah, good point. Well, thank you. Thank you, Blaine. Anybody else have anything last minute?
No, this was great. There's so much good information here, and I think there will be a lot of follow-up once we put it out there and have people who weren't able to join us this evening take some time, and we can definitely schedule another one because I'm sure there'll be follow-up questions and things. So thank you
If
so
there's follow-up
much.
stuff too, you can email me. I'll answer them in email and send it back to you. But yeah, I'm happy to talk anytime. I like the topics.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Blaine. Appreciate it. We'll be
Thank
in.
you. Thanks for being here and listening.
Oh,
Have a great night.
great.
Thank you. That was great.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.